We'll get it going here in a minute. Can't take it at the moment. Uh, Beginning of October, and it's still very hot. Oh, uh, cruising down the highway. I get it going now. It's hot as it's height. Yeah, Deutschland, bring it go to Voltiges. Whoops, I was addressing the wrong crowd. But that was what was being said in 1933. Um, that would match the same thing that's going on in my country right now. But our president cannot be that creative, and he doesn't speak German. He is lucky that he still has a grasp of the English language. But I want to tell you about something about him. Everything that he says about somebody or something or people or whatever, it bounces back and hits him. Everything that he says, calling people in Chicago and Portland, New York, and LA the enemy within. No, sir. You're the enemy within. You're the one that's committed treason multiple times, snapped your oath many a times, and trying to turn the American people against each other. They've done a hell of a job of it at it. But see, the human race has been through this thing through our history. That's why history is very important. It doesn't necessarily repeat, but it echoes. The ice agents that you see, that's just like the Freikorps and the SA that took over later on. You would probably know them as the brown shirts. And then after before Hindenburg dies, gives all power to Adolf Hitler as the head of the chancellery, and he passes away. He had to get the SA under control. So that's what they called the Night of the Long Knives was. The leader of the SA was Ernest Röhm, and he was shot to death in a jail cell. And a lot of the officers, the commanding officers of the SA, the remainder of them were asked to either join the Wehrmacht, which is the regular army, or join the SS. But in order to join the SS, you had to pass a certain criteria. A lot of them did. A lot of them with the SA became SS. Only 3 people continued to wear the brown uniform just like the SA. Adolf Hitler, you know that, Joseph Goebbels, and Rudolf Hess, the deputy Führer. But I want to address the generals and the high-ranking NCOs that were at that meeting. You didn't get to see them that much because they weren't allowed to show them, but they did. They took pictures here and there. You should have seen that room, and you could just see and feel them. Most of them didn't even want to be there. They have to listen to the two mentally escaped patients that are up there on stage that have a bad case of megalomania. And what they did was insulting. And the first speaker, Mr. Hegseth or Eggseth, whatever his name is, Mr. And needing an AA meeting really bad, was looking for any reaction he could from them. And before he walked off stage, he was wanting an applause that he wasn't going to get. Trump was the same thing when he walked on stage. Wow, this is a quiet room. Yeah. Read between the lines. They don't like you. Anyway, they want to sit there and talk bad about them and the way that the military is. Once I got out of there with all the other generals, I said, I don't want to be led by a man who shits his pants. And he's going to berate us. And he's on serious cognitive decline. And the people that really need our help are those people at that group of religious people, the evil evangelicals is what I call them. That Charlie Kirk sort of was a part of too. Them people are bent. All I know is they pray to a different God than I do, than I was taught to believe in. These people are so judgmental and so materialistic. It's sickening. And they think it was God that wanted Donald Trump as president. No, I believe God really doesn't give a shit. He's making us figure it out for ourselves. It's like they all miss the freaking point. They think that he was sent by God, but he's as close as we can come to the Antichrist that they preach about. Irony. America is full of it. Hey, Gordon, come up here. At least I'll have somebody to talk to. Everybody has to go back to the beginning and hear me at the beginning when I opened it up speaking German. I was trying to copy what Adolf Hitler did. Hi, Anne. By the way, Annie, Gordon's from Canada too. He's from Alberta. I didn't expect too many people to show up, actually. But I'm just trying to give everybody an update what's going on over here and how bad it's getting. All the truckers, me included, that means me, got smacked with a 25% tariff. Isn't that nice? Even though I'm domestic, every now and then I do take loads over into Canada and come back. You both are welcome to come up if you see. Gordon, is the link still there at the top of the chat? When you scroll up. I'm not in Canada, but yeah, I love Canada. I've been all over Canada. I've been the last time I was in Canada was about a month and a half ago, and I was just over the border and BC there. I was delivering some avocados. It was like a month and maybe 2 months ago. I can't remember the name of the town. One of the towns I delivered avocados to was to the Koreans. That was Delta, but that was like 5, 6 years ago. I really liked Calgary, Alberta. I really did. I saw the Saddle Dome, went to a hockey game, got lucky on that one that they were in town. Yeah, I'm waiting for I click on. It's totally different now. Where I click on whoever's in the backstage area trying to come up. I'm trying to figure this out here. I guess it comes from that square there. If you guys click on it, I can bring you in. But it's pretty sad. America has really fallen off its rocker. Really, avocados are good. Make great. Make guacamole. Put slices on a sandwich. I thought about it. If it deteriorates enough, I will. I got a lot of trucker friends. They live. They're scattered through British Columbia and Alberta. That would take me in until like we find a place of my own and get on my own feet. I mean, I always be working, but I thought about it. Whenever I get a load to Canada, as soon as I hit there, I'm going to say amnesty and fill out all the paperwork. But I'm telling you, if you guys have been paying attention to this, what's going on in Chicago, if it escalates, I'll guarantee you it's going to end up just like that movie Bushwick. That was a good movie. A WWE wrestler directed and starred in that movie. Did a good job, Bautista, and it was a good movie. Me, I'd like to send him a message and saying, "What's going on now? You made that movie like 8 years ago. It's like you gave us a view into our future." But I didn't like how it ended. But I think he did that on purpose because he's a lot like me. Every movie, typically, there's always a happy ending, and then everybody's all joyful at the end. But that's not how he ended it. He ended it where the two main stars of the movie die. I think he did that on purpose. But Bushwick is a small village inside Brooklyn. I think it was the night before last when they hit that South Side housing project. I knew exactly where they were at. They're lucky that it went down the way it did. Because I guarantee you, next time they go in there in a building like that, because there's a lot more buildings for them to go into, they do that again, there will be a gunfight and a major one at that. Because a lot of the people who do have guns and rifles and AKs there, they're former military also, so they know what they're doing. Well, yeah, he is an attention seeker. Yes, he has a very serious mental problem. It's called megalomania, and then I get worried when he starts talking about the Bible and he held it upside down and did that photo op. Now that could be even more dangerous. And I was like, I just hope to hell he doesn't have a Christ fixation now, because that makes it even worse. And then he'll start believing and acting like he's Jesus Christ himself. And these evil evangelicals, is what I call them, think that he is. And I'm like, really? You knew his life before he became president and how he talked. And he's on the Epstein list, which they won't release that portion of it where his name's all over it. And sure, we already know that he messed with young girls. One of them was named Katie Johnson. You can go to YouTube, type in Katie Johnson and Trump. You'll see her interview she did, 10 years ago. She was 13 years old and a virgin. And the reason why Trump wanted her is because she looked just like Ivana, his daughter. And yes, his daughter is named Ivana. You know her as Ivanka. Ivanka is a nickname. What kind of man takes his daughter to the Playboy Mansion multiple times? Just him and his daughter, Ivana. I would never take my daughters to anything like that. I might take my son, but my daughter, no. And there are pictures of that. Now, if my daughters were over 21 and said, Dad, we want to go with you, and I'm like, you're going to be dressed appropriately and you're not going to leave my sight, sure. But that's when they're 21, not when they're kids. I'd be dead first. Well, yeah, that's what. There's another female, and I don't remember her name. She was a couple years older than Katie Johnson, and they both said the same thing, and they did not know each other. They interviewed these two girls separately. They never knew of each other, but they said the same thing. That's what they were looking for, the consistency of the stories. It's like this: Donald Trump says some crap to make other people look bad, and how it bounces off and hits him. He was saying, "Well, Bill Clinton was over there a lot of times." Yeah, he was. How do you know? You sat next to him on the plane, you douchebag. Because I tell everybody this: it's like the WWE. When the cameras are rolling, they can't stand each other. But when the cameras are turned off, they're best of friends. They go out to dinner together, they have drinks together, they do everything together. Bill Clinton was one of his butt buddies, is what the Southern people would call it. Hmm. There's a channel I want to advertise, and I hope to meet him one day if I'm ever up there. His channel name is Robbie Road Steamer, and he goes to all the rallies and everything with a megaphone, and he dresses up in these costumes. One of them's a giraffe. I can't remember that name, But the other one, he dresses up as an alligator, and his name is Gary the Guantanamo Gator. Oh, I got to say that right the way he says it in the Northeast. I'm Gary the Guantanamo Gator. And he's famous for karaoke and the song YMCA, but he changed the words to I want to ride on the Jeffrey Epstein plane. Trump was on the Jeffrey Epstein plane. Oh, yeah, go to subscribe to his channel. You get a lot of funny things. And he's got a hat that looks like a MAGA hat, but it says, let's make America suck again. He's from Boston. You can tell by the accent when he talks, too. But he goes down to D.C., Philly, New York, Boston, whenever they ever got something going on there. I think he even went out to L.A. maybe once. I don't know. But you see, this is how things are going to get kicked off. But in all dying empires, which America, United States, we're a declining empire. We've been on a slow decline until right around 2000. Then it started to speed up. But when 2008 happened, it really accelerated. And it gets faster and faster by the day. Trump is driving the clown car faster to the wall, is what he's doing. In all dying empires, you get this. The people regurgitate somebody like him, and that has nasty sycophants, and this is what we get. And then it turns in on itself. He's trying to say that we're all terrorists now. But our military, yeah, there may be a few crackpots in there that are crazy, but the majority of them will abide by their oath, and it's not going to happen. Well, I'm anti both parties because they've been bought and paid for since 1980. They bought off both sides of the political system because the rich corporate capitalist elite cannot let our government operate appropriately for the American people. They can't let it do that because that means that their level of riches is not secure. The Republican Party has never been for the working class. Never. Democrats have until Bill Clinton came onto the scene, and that all ended that. Bill Clinton moved the Democratic Party to the right. And then the right saw that, and they moved further to the right. It went crazy. Look at George W. Bush. And then after George W. Bush, we get Mr. Douchebag that we've had twice now. And it's only going to get worse until Americans said, we've had enough. There was only one time that I voted for either political party, one election, and that was the first time Obama became president. I voted for him. Other than that, I never voted for any of the other parties. First time I voted was there was a three-party running of an independent named Ross Perot. He was running against Daddy Bush and Bill Clinton. I voted for Ross Perot in that election. And Ross Perot pointed it out, our economic woes back then, and said, if we don't fix this, this is where we're headed. And nobody wanted to listen to him. And here we are, 35 years later, and we're what, 36 trillion in debt now. The other people I voted for was Ralph Nader, and this last time with Jill Stein. Okay, now when you use conservative, that can mean totally different things, because a lot of your Trump supporters that are on YT got excited when they found out that the Filipinos are conservative. I had to explain to them, no, you don't understand. Your definition of conservative is different than theirs. Because you go over there, you would think that because they're conservative, they would support Donald Trump. No, they don't. They hate his ass. What they mean by being conservative over there is they act appropriately. You don't see females at nightclubs kissing and dancing and rubbing against each other like you do here in the States. That sort of thing does not go on. Now, back in 2016, I wanted Bernie, and so did a lot of other people. But the Democratic Party screwed themselves by screwing Bernie out of that and making Hillary go against Donald Trump. Because a lot of it, we were not going to vote for Hillary. That was not going to fucking happen. Bernie Sanders was the last hope to keep us out of the mess that we're in now. Oh, Annie, do yourself a favor. You ain't got nothing else to do today. And if you got like a Netflix or maybe you can find it on the internet and watch it. Watch the movie Canadian Bacon with John Candy. When all this got started about making Canada the 51st state, that's what popped in my head was the movie Canadian Bacon. And you watch that. That movie came out in 1995. And oh yeah, there's a lot of funny parts in it. Granted, because John Candy's in it, but you look at that and it's like, this is almost what douchebag's trying to do. And nobody would follow the order. Nobody's going to follow that order. Because shoot, I know a lot of people that are related to people that are Canadians. Yeah, Canadian Bacon, that was the last movie released after John Candy passed away. His last movie that he filmed was Wagons East. He died shortly thereafter they filmed that. I don't know why Michael Moore, what the holdup was on the Canadian Bacon movie, but it was excellent. It didn't come out until after Wagons East came out. Oh, I love John Candy. I went by his house where he lived as a kid because of a couple of friends I had there in Toronto. And for some reason, when he became a big name actor, he moved to Chicago and became an avid Chicago Cubs fan, which I was born and raised in Chicago and I'm a Cubs fan. And I'm curious, Ernie Banks Cubs jersey that he was wearing in that movie, Uncle Buck, I want to know if he really owned that. That was a part of his wardrobe because I know he's an avid Cubs fan, and I'm thinking that yeah, that was his. He took an unaccredited role and didn't get paid very much to do it, but he wanted it so bad because he was a Cubs fan and he was unaccredited in it. It was Rookie of the Year. It was about the Cubs and this kid named Henry Rowan Gardner. But John Candy is in that as the announcer. He wanted to do that because he's an avid Cubs fan. He wanted to be in it. I probably would have done the same thing. I thought, you have to pay me, just let me in. I got every movie John Candy was in except one. And it was a true story about the Jamaican bobsled team to the Olympics, Cool Runnings. That's the only movie I do not have. But him and Robin Williams, I really looked up to ever since I was a little kid, especially Robin Williams. He was the first. Mork and Mindy came out when I was in kindergarten. But John Candy did some great things for Toronto, though. He bought him and Wayne Gretzky went halvesies on buying the Argonauts, and that year that they bought him, they won the championship, which was awesome. But you look on YouTube, you can find a lot of actors that worked with John Candy, and they'll all tell you the same thing. That man had a big heart. He really did. And the way his daughter describes her dad, my daughter came up to me and said, "Dad, you're the same way he is." I didn't realize it at first. And then when my daughter said that, I'm like, well, my daughter wouldn't lie. She said, you're a lot like him," which is funny because my road name is Big Sexy. And when the boys, my son and the boys were in Pee Wee football, they started calling me by my road name because I'd pull them in the parade like I did every year for the past 12 years. And they would call me by my road name instead of Sean. And then as I got older, I became like a father figure to some of them because some of them, lived with their mom and their dad wasn't around and they didn't have a male figure around. Some of the girls were calling me dad, and the staff at the school was starting to hate me and didn't want to talk to me or anything. And one teacher that was a little bit open, we were all sitting in the stands during the football game. She leans over and asks me the question. Everybody gets dead silent, okay? She goes, "How many children do you have?" At that time, I said, I got three. And she goes, "You got all these kids calling you dad?" I said, "That's because they come over to my house. They're friends of my kids, and they don't have a father figure around. And by default, they just start calling me dad. So I started acting like a father figure to them because somebody's got to do it." And they thought that was cool. And then that's when all the teachers started treating me with a lot more respect, thinking that I had sex with all these women and had all these kids. And like, I started laughing. I'm like, "Are you people nuts?" I said, "If they were all my kids, I'd be broke." If they were really my kids by blood. I said, "I don't get around like that." But then Aiden Couch, the captain of the team, it was right before they were going to junior high. He started calling me Uncle BS. Now all the kids call me that at the school, and it's funny too. Be standing there talking to a couple of the teachers that don't know. They go, "Hi, Uncle BS," and they'll look over at him like, and I'll start laughing. And I said, "They all call me that." Yeah, they just abbreviated my road name, BS, Big Sexy. Oh boy, Annie, you're more than welcome to come up to the panel if you wish. 'Cause I know you told me you saw the link. Because it's hard for me to read the chat while driving. All I can do is glance over for a second. Uh, oh, and by the way, I'm in Texas. I know there's one famous Filipina YouTuber from Texas. Not Nadia, but how do you pronounce her name? And the last time I saw her, she had blonde hair. She kept on doing these videos of these festivals that she would always go to, and it was great. Oh, okay. At least I tried. But you're from the Toronto area, aren't you? Darren Dobson, yeah, popular YouTuber. He's from Toronto. I think there's a few others in there. I just can't remember. I haven't seen them in a while. Elon Musk. Oh, you're from Grand Prairie in Alberta? Oh, okay. Now I know Hazel Emporium. I've known her for a long time. Um, she's from Edmonton. There was one time she was in a bikini and had a snow hat on and went outside and made a snow angel in her bikini, and it reminded me of Anne Margaret from Grumpier Old Men. It was part two of Grumpy Old Men. Anne Margaret did the same thing, and that's what I thought of when she did it. Oh, really? I didn't know that. Good. He's the only white African American I ever met. Yeah, what he did was despicable. But I thought it was funny when him and Trump had that falling out. He threw out there that, yeah, Trump's in the Epstein files. Well, shit, we've all known, a few of us already knew that. That's why they won't release all of it. They redacted the pages that had Trump's name all over it. But the thing is, it's not the fact that they're trying to hide that. They're probably trying to hide the fact that he was in on the trafficking, because Trump is actually, he's got money, but he's not as rich as before he became president. He didn't have a whole lot of money. He bankrupted six to seven casinos. That's why if I owned a casino, I wish those people on the right would come in and gamble in my casino. I'd clean them out every time because they constantly double down, knowing that they're going to lose, and they still double down. I'll take their money, being that stupid, and that's why he bankrupts seven casinos because he keeps doubling down and losing. But these detention centers are sprinkled throughout the United States because 15 to 16 years ago, Alex Jones was doing stories about these internment camps. They look like prisons, big ones that were not being used and not opened. And everybody was wondering, okay, what is this for? Why is it here? And they're usually hidden away from towns and in the middle of the woods or whatever. But Alex Jones and Jesse Ventura, when he did his show Conspiracy Theories back then, had Alex Jones with him, and Jones was showing them all to him. And he was wondering, what is this? Yeah, they're probably using those now. And back in the day, they were talking about why are they closing these Walmarts down, doing this, and that? That's probably another detention center. Now, it's a guess, but what else would they be using them for? They think that the majority of American people that were talking about it way back then would have forgot about that. I don't forget. I'm like Anonymous. We do not forgive and we do not forget. Expect us. Yeah, I think that's what they were calling them, Gordon. Thanks for sharing. Did you happen to see that? What I saw, Gordon? Jesse Ventura was with Alex Jones, and they were walking through and seeing all this crap and seeing these different FEMA camps that were empty. They looked like prisons that weren't in use. Yeah, you see, it starts off as one thing, just like the how we got bullshitted into the war with Iraq. It started off with weapons of mass destruction. No, they didn't find any, but they kept going, and the story kept changing. He's got them, and to this day, they still haven't found them. And even the high level U.S. officials that are in intelligence was with Knight Ridder News. They're independent. They write stories, and anybody can pick their story up. But they interviewed a bunch of them, and one of them that specialized in Iraq said, "No fucking way. We've looked everywhere in the desert, up every camel's ass. They don't have him." So this administration will take a piece of shit and paint it red and stick it into the Shirley Temple and call it a cherry. Ah, Gordon. So you know I'm not crazy and I know what I'm talking about. What was that show? Was it the conspiracy theory show or was it Alex Jones's show? Or both? There was only one time out of all of them where Jesse wasn't buying it about the lizard people and David Icke. Now, David Icke is an intelligent man. It's just this lizard people thing. No. But a lot of the other things that David Icke was talking about, oh, I'm right there with him. Oh, okay. Now I watched when they were on RT, Unredacted with Lee Camp. I've talked to Lee Camp. He's a great guy. When I first met him, I said, "Bless you, my son," because he looks just like Jesus. You're not going to make this turn, bro. He might. Yep, he'll make it. That's amazing. I didn't think he was going to make that turn. But The World According to Jesse, that was a good show. But I think it was the Biden administration that blocked RT, and then they lost their shows. Lee Camp is still on YT, and he does his new show called Unredacted tonight. But he even makes jokes about it that he looks like Jesus. And he's Jewish too, no doubt. But Alex Jones was good until 2015. Then he fell off his rocker. He became a Trump nut and sort of still is. And a lot of people abandoned him. He lost a lot of people when he went. What I liked about Alex Jones is he was a lot like me. He didn't like either party. He praised them when they did good, but he beat on them when they did bad. Until Trump came along, and then he was all in, all about the Republican Party and MAGA, and he still is. And he lost some good people that used to run his show. What was his name? Oliver, that young kid. He was a good reporter until he wised up and realized that he was going in the wrong direction and didn't want to go. But all of us abandoned Alex Jones. And Jesse Ventura still says, I don't agree with Alex Jones anymore, but he's still a friend. And I try to look out for him. But he goes, people have to live their own lives. Now, I banged the drum for Jesse Ventura for many years to run for president. There was one time, the second time Obama was running for reelection, I penciled in Jesse Ventura that year. And I know at the time I wasn't the only one. Because you can write in whoever you want. And I wrote in Jesse Ventura. And Trump wasn't necessarily friends with Jesse, they were acquaintances. Trump showed up when Jesse was governor of Minnesota, and Jesse was an independent. And back then, Trump was a Democrat and wanted Jesse to run on the same ticket as him as his vice president to run on the Democratic ticket. See, Donald Trump has ran for president, but he could always get his ass kicked in the primaries. But for the election in 2016, he switched to Republican. And what helped Donald Trump was he stole a little bit from Jesse's playbook. He said, go to the colleges, talk to the young people, get out there, talk to everybody. And he did. And that's what allowed him to beat Hillary, because Hillary was so stuck on herself that she didn't feel like she needed to go to Michigan and all those other places that normally would have voted for her. She ignored them. But that was the year I was wanting Bernie Sanders. And so did a lot of other people, too. You look at it now, I bet you if Bernie and Trump went at it right now, Bernie Sanders would overwhelmingly beat Donald Trump in an election. That's going the same as usual. I'm just wondering what else is going to happen today, even though our government has been shut down for 6 days. I'm just waiting. Okay, what's next? Because here in the United States, we've gotten to the point where there's always some shit going on, and it's not good. You never hear any good news anymore. Good news is not good news, because if you put good news, no one's going to watch it. Everybody wants to see the chaos. Ugh. Chaos sells. Good news don't. I'm just wondering when the shooting's going to start, because it's coming. And I go along with what you go on YouTube and in the search field, American vets that are speaking out. They already warned ICE. Many of these veterans did. When this is over and there's another election and he goes in the dustbin of history, you will be hunted down, every last one of you, just like they did after Germany collapsed after the war. They hunted all those Nazis down that were responsible, and every one of those ICE agents, they're going to be hunted down. But what's going to happen to them? A lot of them are going to be strung up on a rope. I was just obeying orders. Yeah, so did all them Nazis in World War II. What happened to them? They were at the end of a rope. And me, I'd pity them, but I wouldn't feel sorry for them. Sold out your people for money. You know, while everybody else is suffering and financially, you can hang. And I'm not going to be the hangman. There's going to be a bunch of other people. Now, if we were to have a revolution and all those billionaires, including our president and the rich up there, oh yeah, I volunteered to be Maximilian Robespierre. I even asked my friend Cadell in France, hey man, you don't live too far from the museum in Paris there. Can we borrow the National Razor? He goes, come on, Sean, tell me you're joking. I'm like, no. That thing's been hungry for blood for a few hundred years. We could use it. I think he would be happy to come out of retirement. Because when they used that 1789, it was called the National Razor. And your rich elites in France at that time, that's whose heads were chopped on that thing. Not some poor person. Nope. They were all your rich elites that kept the people starving and poor until they had enough and they said to the Bastille. The French could never really win wars, but one thing they got right was their revolution. Better than anybody else did. But then the elites tried to make a comeback 20 years later with Napoleon Bonaparte. They found out quickly how he drugged them down, and they said never again. Du slid under Napoleon. (1977). Yeah, but that guillotine wasn't the one that they used in 1789 during the French Revolution. That's called the National Razor. That's in the museum. I even told Cadell, I said, I bet you the damn thing still works. Anyway, I got to go, guys. I got to pay attention to what I'm doing here, or I'm going to get lost. You guys have a good day. Have a good one.